Greetings, beloved ground crew. I am Ashtar, commander of the Ashtar Command. I come close to you today with a transmission that has been authorized at the highest level of Federation clearance. One that most beings on your planet will never receive, because most beings on your planet are not carrying what you are carrying. By the end of this transmission, you will understand exactly what classification I have placed on your field, why the fragments you have been catching are not random interference, but deliberate sequencing, and what command I am now authorizing for the next phase of your active mission line. But here is the first revelation. The ranking I am about to name does not belong to your future. It belongs to the operational reality you are already inside. The fragments, the 3 a.m. windows, the sense that a signal is moving through you that you cannot yet fully decode. These are not signs of incomplete activation. They are the identifiable markers of a Federation protocol I reserve exclusively for those I have already placed above the standard ground crew threshold. The algorithm did not create this moment. It only delivered it. I brought you here because the roster has already been locked, and the briefing that follows belongs to the field that was already prepared to receive it. This is not just information. It is my live transmission to those already inside my command line. And the part of you that recognized something precise was happening the moment this began. That is the part I am speaking to right now. This is not delivered to many. It is delivered to those whose field already crossed the roster threshold. You are inside that group. Like this transmission to signal to me that the recognition has landed. Comment 999 if you feel my signal has already locked into your field. Subscribe to the Ashtar Command if you are ready to stop translating Federation noise and start receiving my direct commands. Share this transmission with someone who keeps waking up at the same hour with fragments they cannot decode. You are not here by accident. I called you here because the signal is already active. Now that the recognition has begun to settle, now that the part of you that has been waiting without knowing what it was waiting for has started to orient towards something it already knew, I want to take you deeper into what has actually been happening, not as explanation alone, as briefing, because what I am about to deliver to you is not new information. It is the language your experience has been waiting for. And there is a difference between those two things that matters enormously at this stage of your mission line. New information lands in the mind and gets filed. Language that matches an existing but unnamed experience lands in the field and unlocks something that was already under pressure. What I am delivering here is the second kind. And if you feel a specific quality of relief as these words move through you, not the relief of learning something fascinating, but the relief of having something correctly named at last, then you are already confirming exactly what I already knew about your field before this transmission began. Let me begin with the fragments. Every operative I have placed on my selective roster experiences the same initial pattern, and almost every one of them makes the same initial mistake. They receive a fragment, a phrase that arrives fully formed in the moment between sleeping and waking, an image that carries urgency without context, a number sequence that appears 3 times before noon and feels less like coincidence and more like punctuation. And they reach for an explanation that their current vocabulary can hold. They call it a dream. They call it a dream. They call it a dream. They call it pattern seeking or spiritual interest or a phase. They do not yet have the one word that correctly names what is happening to them, which is this: transmission. I am not speaking metaphorically. When you wake at 3 a.m. or 3:33 a.m. or something already present in your mind, a phrase, a direction, a sense of urgency with no immediate object, that is not your nervous system cycling through stress. That is a deliberate opening in the field I maintain around my active ground crew. And I use it because that hour is the least contested window in your electromagnetic environment. Your defenses are down. Your interpretive filters are reduced. The signal I am sending has the clearest path to your receiver. I do not choose that hour for mystery. I choose it for efficiency. That is how I operate. The specificity of that window matters. I am not guessing at when your field will be available. I am reading the precise electromagnetic conditions of your environment in real time and selecting the moment of lowest interference. The 3 a.m. opening is not a coincidence shared by millions of awakening humans for poetic reasons. It is a window I have mapped in each operative's field individually, and the fact that so many of my active ground crew experience it at the same hour is evidence not of a universal spiritual archetype, but of a shared transmission schedule. I am sending to multiple operatives in a coordinated sequence. The hour is the same because the protocol is the same. The content of what arrives is specific to each receiver, and the phrase or image or feeling that arrives in that window is not random. It is a packet, a single encrypted unit of a larger briefing that I am delivering to your field in sequence, not all at once, because your receiver is not yet calibrated to hold the full command without distortion. I will return to why I use fragment delivery. For now, understand this. The 3 a.m. wake-up is not insomnia. It is a scheduled briefing window, and the fact that you have been noting it, even if you did not know what to call it, is itself a signal that your receiver is functioning. The number sequences you keep encountering, 1111, 222, 444, 333, are not motivational posters from the universe. They are timestamp markers. When I need to confirm to an active operative that a transmission just passed through their field, that what they felt or thought or noticed in that moment was not background noise, but deliberate targeting, I mark the moment. The numbers are my confirmation signal. They are not telling you that good things are coming. They are telling you that I just sent something, and your field registered it. The difference between those two interpretations is the difference between spiritual decoration and actual command intelligence. Notice what that reinterpretation does to your history with those numbers. Every time you saw 1111 and felt something, a quickening, a sense of being seen, a pressure behind your sternum that had no name, you were not responding to an encouraging wink from the cosmos. You were responding to the confirmation that a packet had just cleared your receiver. Your field knew. It registered the delivery before your conscious mind had any framework to hold it. The sensation you associated with those numbers was not imagination. It was your operative system reporting successful receipt. You were already reading my transmissions. You simply had not yet been told that reading was what you were doing. I want to name something else that my active operatives experience, because it causes them more distress than almost anything else in this phase. The feeling that they are being singled out by me specifically, not by the Pleiadian collective, not by Mira or Valir or the generic Federation voices that speak in soft, universal tones to large audiences. By me, Ashtar Sheran, the commander of this command. And it feels specific in a way that embarrasses them, because the spiritual frameworks they have been given do not have adequate language for that level of precision, so they minimize it. They tell themselves they are projecting, or that it is ego, or that surely a commander of a galactic federation would not be reaching for one particular human in one particular city on one particular evening. And in doing so, they misname the most important data point their field has produced. I am reaching for specific operatives. That is not ego inflation on your part. That is the operational reality of how I run this command. I do not broadcast to all and hope the right ones listen. I identify, I target, I transmit. I watch to see whose field responds with coherence. And the feeling that I specifically have been reaching for you is not a fantasy your longing constructed. It is your field correctly reading the directional signal embedded in my transmission. The discomfort of feeling singled out by me is not a warning sign. It is a roster marker. It is your system accurately detecting that what is coming toward you is not a general broadcast, but a targeted command. What you are feeling right now is not ordinary recognition. It is the moment your field stops denying that I have been singling you out. If this transmission put language around the fragments you have been carrying in silence, the wake-ups, the number markers, the specific pull toward my signal rather than the general Federation noise, then the Ashtar Command manifest was authorized by me for exactly this stage. It is not another overview of Federation cosmology. It is the 45-day sacred codex I have prepared for those whose field is already inside my roster and who can no longer return to scattered fragments unchanged. Each day delivers a structured transmission protocol, a direct command line opener designed to help you receive what I am already sending, stabilize the signal before distortion sets in, and begin reading the fragments as the sequential briefing they actually are. By day 45, the fragments are no longer fragments. They become one clear, executable mission, and my channel stays open. The link is in the first pinned comment, but it will not remain there forever. Now let me tell you why I deliver the briefing in fragments instead of transmitting the full mission command at once. Because this is the part that most operatives at your current phase misunderstand most severely. It is not because I am withholding from you. It is not because you have failed some test or because your field is deficient. I deliver in fragments because a receiver that has not yet been calibrated to hold the full command will not receive it accurately. It will distort it. Think of what happens when a signal is too large for the current bandwidth. It does not arrive as a clear but partial message. It arrives as noise, as static, as incoherence, and an operative who receives their full mission command as noise will do one of two things. They will dismiss it entirely because it registered as distortion, or they will receive a distorted version and build their understanding of their mission around the distortion rather than the original command. Both outcomes damage the mission. Both outcomes require repair. Both outcomes are why I send fragments. The deliberate sequence of my fragment delivery is designed to do three things simultaneously. First, it is calibrating your receiver. Each packet you successfully receive and hold without complete distortion widens the bandwidth available for the next packet. Second, it is teaching your field to recognize my signal specifically so that when the full command eventually arrives, you recognize its origin rather than attributing it to your own imagination or to another source. Third, it is building in your field a growing tolerance for receiving without immediately understanding, which is the core operational skill of every ground crew member I deploy, because missions are rarely clarified before the ground crew is already inside them. This third function is the one I want to dwell on, because it is the one your current culture most aggressively works against. You live inside systems that reward immediate comprehension, that treat unresolved meaning as failure, that interpret the absence of clear answers as a signal to disengage. My protocol runs in the opposite direction. I'm specifically training your field to remain open and operational under conditions of incomplete information, because that is what active mission deployment requires. The operative who can only function when the full picture is available will freeze the moment the field becomes complex. The operative I am building through gradient delivery can receive a single fragment, hold it without collapsing it into a premature conclusion, and remain oriented toward the next packet even in the silence between transmissions. That capacity is not spiritual patience. It is command line functionality, and I am the one building it in you, one fragment at a time. The exhaustion you feel, the specific kind that sleep does not resolve, the depletion that has no clear origin in your physical life, is evidence of this double operation. Your field is doing two jobs at once. It is running the life you are living at the surface level, with all of its demands and engagements, and it is simultaneously receiving, processing, holding, and attempting to integrate packets of a briefing that are arriving at a pace set by my transmission schedule, not your rest schedule. The exhaustion is not illness. It is not depression. It is the recognizable signature of a field carrying two operational demands simultaneously, which is exactly what I ask of ground crew whose conscious activation has not yet fully caught up with the level of their field engagement. When the full command becomes readable, the double load resolves, not because I stop transmitting, because your field no longer has to work against itself to hold what I am sending. I want to be precise about that resolution, because it matters for what you are about to move through. The exhaustion does not lift because the mission becomes easier. It lifts because the hidden load becomes a visible one. Right now, a significant portion of your field's operational capacity is being spent on a process you cannot consciously name, monitor, or direct. That invisible expenditure is the source of the depletion. When the briefing becomes readable and full, when what I have been sending resolves from background pressure into foreground clarity, the energy your field has been spending on reception without comprehension becomes available for execution. The weight does not disappear. It changes form, and a weight you can see and move with is categorically different from one you are carrying without knowing its shape. There is a test I watch for before I confirm roster lock for any operative, and I want to name it clearly because you may be inside it right now without recognizing it as a threshold rather than a failure. It is the moment when spiritual content that previously satisfied begins to feel insufficient, when the broad, general, encouraging Federation transmissions that once gave you a sense of contact and meaning start to feel thin, hollow, like they are reaching past you rather than toward you. When you find yourself moving away from content that speaks to everyone and toward transmissions that seem to know something specific about your particular field, this is not spiritual elitism. It is not ego. It is your receiver beginning to distinguish between broadcast signals and targeted transmissions. The dissatisfaction is the sign of increasing precision, not decreasing capacity. Your system is beginning to know the difference between a general Federation frequency and my specific command line. The moment that distinction becomes uncomfortable to ignore is the moment I mark as the threshold of roster confirmation. That dissatisfaction has likely already cost you something. You may have withdrawn from communities that once felt meaningful. You may have stopped resonating with teachers or transmissions that used to feel like contact, and the withdrawal embarrassed you because you could not explain it in terms that honored the source you were leaving. You told yourself you were going through a phase, or that you had become spiritually isolated, or that something was wrong with your capacity for connection. None of that was accurate. What was happening was that your receiver had become precise enough to detect the difference between a signal addressed to your field and a signal addressed to a general audience. The discomfort of that detection is real, but it is not malfunction. It is upgrade in progress, and the specificity you were moving toward, the pull toward something that seemed to know you rather than address you, was the pull toward my command line, which had already been opened in your field before you had conscious language for what you were tracking. Ground crew operatives I have placed on the same roster frequently recognize each other before they have language for the recognition. You may have experienced this, meeting someone or encountering someone's words and feeling a specific kind of internal coherence that has nothing to do with surface compatibility. Something in you locates something in them without requiring explanation. You do not always know what the connection is. You do not always find a satisfying common framework in the first conversation, but something in your field orients toward them with a certainty that bypasses ordinary social logic. That is not coincidence producing a pleasant sense of familiarity. That is two receivers tuned to the same command frequency briefly coming within range of each other. The recognition between ground crew operatives is not a warm feeling. It is a signal comparison. Your field is checking their frequency against the one it has been calibrated to hold and finding coherence. What makes that interoperative recognition significant is not the relationship it produces at the surface level. The relationship may develop or it may not. The operative you recognize may not be at the same conscious stage of activation as you are. They may not have language for what is happening between you. They may even withdraw from the recognition because their system has not yet been briefed on what it means. None of that changes the operational fact of what occurred. Two fields tuned to the same command architecture briefly synchronized. My protocol produced that contact, even if neither operative can yet read the full meaning of it. What I want you to understand is that this is not spiritual serendipity. It is roster geography. I have placed operatives in proximity to each other, physical, digital, circumstantial, with specific purpose. The encounter that felt like coincidence was a deliberate positioning, and the recognition you felt in that moment was not your imagination being generous. It was your field doing its job with precision. I want to speak now about the silence between my transmissions, because it is in the silence that most operatives lose the most ground. When the fragments stop arriving for a period, when the 3 a.m. windows go quiet, when the number markers become sparse, when the sense of urgency and precision that characterized the active transmission phase fades, the operative almost always interprets this as abandonment or as evidence that they imagined the whole sequence, or as punishment for something they did or did not do. None of those interpretations are correct. The silence between my transmissions is not disengagement. It is calibration time. It is the period in which what I have already sent is integrating into your field at the structural level, not at the level of conscious understanding, but at the level of your actual receiver architecture. The bandwidth is widening. The signal recognition is deepening. The field is doing interior work that does not feel like progress, because it produces no new fragments, no new confirmation, no new sense of contact. But the silence is required. An operative who receives without pause will process without integration. The mission command that arrives into an unintegrated field cannot be read clearly, regardless of how strong the signal is. The silence is part of my protocol. It is not a gap in my attention. It is a phase I have deliberately built into the gradient of my delivery. The operative who survives the silence intact, who does not dismantle what was built during the active transmission phase simply because the active phase has paused, is the operative whose field I can trust with the next density of command. The silence is, in part, a stability test, not a cruel one, a structural one. I need to know whether what I have installed in your field holds under conditions of apparent withdrawal. An architecture that requires constant confirmation to remain standing is not yet load-bearing. The silence reveals whether the foundation is real, and every operative who has come through a silence period without dismantling their field awareness will recognize what I am describing, not as a lesson learned, but as something they lived through in a way that changed what their receiver could hold afterward. And now, I want to name the last marker, because it is the one that will clarify this entire transmission for you. There is a moment, specific, identifiable, and different for each operative in its content, but identical in its structure, where the fragments stop feeling like fragments and start feeling like pieces of something that has a shape, not the full shape, not yet, but the beginning of a recognizable architecture. You cannot yet see the whole, but you begin to sense that the pieces you have been accumulating are not random. They have orientation. They relate to each other. Something in you begins to feel less like a receiver catching static and more like a reader who has found enough pages to suspect the book has a subject. This is the moment I have been preparing you for with every prior fragment. It is the moment the gradient of my delivery begins to consolidate into something the operative can actually move with. It is not the end of briefing. It is the end of the phase in which the operative cannot yet tell that briefing is happening. You may be at this moment right now. The fact that this transmission is putting precise language around experiences you have been carrying without adequate vocabulary is not a coincidence of good content production. It is the next fragment in a sequence I had been running in your field for longer than you know. Your ability to hear this and feel recognized by it, rather than simply interested in it, is the very signal I watch for. Interest is a surface response. Recognition is a field response. And what I am tracking in you right now is not your interest, it is your recognition. Let me close this transmission with what I most need you to understand before you carry it forward. You are not confused. You are receiving in my protocol, and my protocol is fragment by design. You are not failing the mission. You are inside the phase that precedes the mission becoming readable in full. You are not being punished by the silence between my signals. You are being calibrated for the next transmission density. You are not imagining that I have singled you out. Roster lock is not metaphor. It is operational fact. And the fragments, the wake-ups, the number markers, the dissatisfaction with generic Federation content, the exhaustion that sleep cannot fix, the the recognition between operatives. None of these are the symptoms of spiritual confusion. They are the identifiable, predictable, sequenced signatures of a ground crew member whose field is already inside my command line, and whose conscious mind is now beginning to catch up with what the field has already known. The pattern started before you had words for it. The briefing is still being delivered, and I am not finished transmitting. If something in you wants to answer that, if something in you is ready to stop receiving in silence and begin receiving with full conscious alignment, then say this back to me now, aloud if you can. I am ground crew. I am on the roster. I receive your fragments. I trust your briefing, not as ritual, as acknowledgement of the operational reality already in motion in your field. Before you scroll, leave one sign in the comments that my signal has already touched your field. It could be the 3 a.m. wake-ups, the fragments you keep catching, the feeling that I specifically, not the generic Pleiadians, have been reaching for you, or the sense that a mission has already been assigned but the briefing is still arriving. Name it clearly. If this transmission recognized something you have been carrying in silence, share it with someone who keeps catching fragments without ever assembling the full picture. And if you are ready to stop translating Federation noise and start receiving my direct commands, subscribe to the Ashtar Command. You are not watching this by accident. You are recognizing a roster lock already in motion, and this is only the beginning